Hi everyone, and welcome to the 345 podcast. I'm Henry.
I'm Gordon. And I'm James. And today we'll be talking about fan theories. Can I just say that some people have way too much time on their hands?
Lucky for us, it gives us something to talk about.
Good point. Why don't you start us off, James? Gladly. First up, there's the theory the Joker from The Dark Knight used to be a soldier. This is supported by the fact he's very skilled with weapons, interrogations, and planning. Later on, when he's talking to Harvey Dent at the hospital, he specifically makes mention of a truck full of soldiers blowing up. His point was basically nobody would give a toss if that happened, so it's possible that's how he got those scars. Maybe his injuries, coupled with a severe case of PTSD, led him to being discharged.
Does PTSD cause someone to become psychotic?
I don't know, but if you're disillusioned, angry, and unable to get help, well, I can't see that person living a good life. No, it's quite tragic, really. Somewhat like the idea that in the Matrix, the real world isn't actually real. The theory goes the machines create another level of the Matrix designed to pacify humans who are unwilling to accept the system. They get confirmation something was wrong and are able to indulge in the fantasy of fighting against the evil machines. This might explain why Neo's powers work in the Matrix and the real world, because it is nothing more than another level of the Matrix.
Do you believe that?
No, this theory reads more like overthinking, somewhat like yours.
It's not mine, it's one I've heard. Well, two really.
What are they?
They both relate to James Bond. The first explores the idea that Bond isn't the character's actual name, but an alias, one that comes bundled with the 007 designation. This does make a lot of sense. It always struck me as odd that Bond would introduce himself by name to everyone he meets. You'd think a spy of all people would be a lot more discreet.
Aye, you would. If the Bond name really is just an alias, it would explain why his physical appearance has changed over the years. And I remember in the opening to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, George Lazenby said something like, "This never happened to the other fellow." That always struck me as odd.
Me too.
There are some holes to this theory. In For Your Eyes Only, we see Roger Moore's Bond placing flowers on the grave of Lazenby's wife.
That could just be a fellow Bond paying his respects to his predecessor's loss. You're reaching on that one, Henry.
While we're on the topic of graves, we see in Skyfall the names of 007's parents, Andrew and Monique Bond. So it isn't an alias, but a family name. Oh, right, I forgot about that one. Then it's just foolish and reckless to allow a spy to use his real name.
Unless that's by design. The other theory is that by being so overt, Bond acts more like a decoy. In You Only Die Twice, it's made clear his name is well known by criminals, and every time he introduces himself, the villains are instantly focused on him. This distraction allows other spies to operate behind the scenes.
So Bond doesn't actually do anything?
Oh no, everything we see him do is part of the plan. He distracts and damages the enemy, while his colleagues do the rest.
I guess bringing down a criminal empire would be more of a team effort than a solo one, and he does tend to get captured a lot. Maybe that's part of the plan to lull the bad guys into a false sense of security. Could this be the case with The Rock?
What do you mean?
Oh, I just remembered another theory that suggests The Rock is an unofficial Bond movie, because Sean Connery is in it, basically. But let's consider the character he played, John Mason, a British spy who was captured while conducting espionage in the US.
Maybe that would explain Roger Moore coming into the picture. MI6 needed a replacement Bond.
Except the timelines don't match. I think in The Rock they made it clear he was caught in the 60s, but Connery's last Bond film wasn't until the 70s. Wasn't Never Say Never Again his last film? Wasn't that in the 80s?
Never speak of that film again.
All right. Jeez, touchy. Well, if nobody has any other theories, let's move on to the questions. How does it feel to know there are toys of your likeness in the world and to know that millions enjoy your misadventures worldwide? In short, it's great.
Too bad we don't get a cut of the royalties.
What do we need money for? What are we going to spend it on?
Good point. Next question. What are your guys' thoughts on the larger American engines? I'm impressed by their size and strength. They're true marvels of engineering.
And finally, can non-faceless engines be drafted? In a sense, yes. During the First and Second World Wars, all locomotives in Britain were assigned to wartime duties, but for situations like entering combat, they only sought volunteers. We hope that answered your question. Sound off down below if you have any more. Also, what are your thoughts on today's topic? What's a fan theory that you know of?
And that's all we've got for today. So until next time, stay awesome.